And now, from the Room 111 studios, it's Hacking Engagement with James Sternovich.
Well, hey there, listener. Welcome back to the Hacking Engagement podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I can't believe that this is episode 100, man. Because I started this podcast in the summer of 2016. I'd just written this book called Hacking Engagement, and I wanted to do the podcast to supplement the book. And there were 50 hacks inside this book, Hacking Engagement. And I had no idea if anybody would even remotely listen to this podcast. So I'm so impressed with how it's grown. And I thought, I'll do 50 episodes, which seemed like Mount Everest. I was like, how in the world could I come up with 50 episodes? But I did. And I hit episode 50, and then, of course, I started writing the sequel to Hacking Engagement Again. And then I thought, well, what the heck? If I did 50, I can do 100. This is 100. I am so shocked that I was able to pull this off. Now, please don't panic. I'm not going to quit, but I will say this. I'm not going to maintain this every week pace. So the Hacking Engagement podcast will not disappear, but it won't quite be as frequent. Now today, this is a celebratory episode. So I brought on a good buddy of mine. His name's Kevin Ellinwood. And I hope you like the title, Surviving 33 Years in the Classroom. See, Kevin's my age roughly. I mean, we're just, off by a few months, and then we've been teaching for the same number of years. We're both completing 33 years in the classroom. And we talk about that. We talk about that journey. And some of you might be really young and you might be thinking, there's no way I'm going to teach that long in the classroom. I used to be like that. We talk about that in the episode. But something else that I think might come through in this episode is the deep affection we have for one another and the camaraderie that we've shared over the years. And that helps get you through. That helps make this job worth it. I mean, we're both young, vibrant guys, and even though we're past the retirement date, we're contemplating, geez, what's next? I think I have a number of years left in me. I mean, who knows? Kevin's going to go one more year at least. But I think that you'll appreciate this conversation, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. Buckle up, man. I needed this episode when I was a young teacher. I need it now when I'm an old teacher. You're going to love it. Hey, so get this, listener. My publisher contacts me and says, I love the way Hacking Engagement is selling. How about doing 50 more? I was all over it like a cheap suit. So the name of the book is Hacking Engagement Again, 50 Teacher Tools That Will Make Students Love Your Class. And it's going to be available on Amazon's virtual shelves in the late summer of 2017. In the meantime, if you're looking for more teacher empowerment resources, as always, visit hacklearning.org. Now let's get back to the solutions part of the Hacking Engagement podcast. So here I am in the Room 111 studios. I got my colleague with me. His name's Kevin Ellinwood. We've been teaching together for 27 years. Isn't that hard to believe?
Yeah, 1991.
That's right.
Think. Yeah.
That's right. So I'm Mr. Ellinwood. Mr. Ellinwood used to be right across the hall from me, but they built this new wing on our school. And, I'm like a creature of habit. I was kind of all set up in my digs, but you went ahead and went for the new part of the building, didn't you?
You remember George and Wheezy when they moved on up to the other side.
Moving on up. That's getting it done.
Yeah, so I moved it up.
Actually down. Or over.
Yeah, over.
Over.
119,
over.
yeah.
But you know something, man? I miss the days when you were right across the hall and we'd talk in between classes, man.
I know,
miss those
that's always,
days.
yeah.
But it's crazy. It's crazy, Kevin. 27 years ago, I came to Big One. You're already here.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem possible.
I know.
That long
It has gone by so quick.
But he's aged better than me. He's held on to his hair. But your hair used to be real curly, right?
No, I had straight hair. You would never, yeah.
But your hair was longer.
Longer, yes, most definitely. It's by choice now.
That's right.
It. Yeah.
That's right. And so, we're these guys, and we're past our retirement date. Mm-hmm. And yet, we get up every morning, commute in here.
Most definitely.
Teach all these kids. Do lunch duty. Do parking lot duty. Do bathroom duty. Why?
Why are we doing
Why
this?
are we doing this? So that's what this program's all about. And some days I wake up and I think, why? But more days than not, I wake up excited to come in.
I do too.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's
go back in time.
Let's get into Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine, and let's head on back to the first year we're teaching. And we're the same age. We've been at it for the same number of years. 85 was my first year. What was your first year?
85.
85. So let's get back to 1985. It's like Back to the Future came out in 1985.
Yep.
So we're going back to 85. When you started, did you think you were going to do it this long?
No, I did not. I didn't, there was no way I was going to be here this long. When I arrived here, I was just a simple tutor that first couple months, and then I just happened to get lucky. And Big Walnut had a need for a social studies teacher, so I sure.
Just kind of did it for a while. Just trial run, right?
I'm going to try it, take and see how it goes. And it was probably about 3/4 of the way through that first year.
Yeah.
And the future wife, I sat down with her one night. I said, I don't think I can do this anymore.
No.
It was just, I was having headaches. It was just driving me crazy.
What do you think it was?
The amount of stress I put on myself. To make sure that, try to reach every kid. You want to set the world on fire that first year. And I also extended myself probably too far. Did basketball, did baseball, had AP world history class, had three.
I'll do it. Yeah,
3 preps,
I'll take it.
3 preps, sports.
AP, what's that? Yeah, I'll do it.
So I was coming to school at 7:00, getting home, during the season, probably 9:30.
I bet you learned a lot.
Yeah. I learned how
learned a lot of history.
Yeah. So I had to, I just had to sit back, and I thought, I just can't keep doing this.
Oh, man.
Something's got to change. So I told my wife, or future wife, I said, 1 year's probably it. Mm-hmm. She said, well, go to the end of the year, see what you think, and then, go from there.
And then June, July, and August happened.
Exactly. One of our old buddies, Coach Comstock, used to say the 3 greatest words in public education are June, July, and August.
So you're sitting there in the summer of 1986, I guess it would be.
Yes, it would have been, yeah.
And you're thinking, this is kind of a sweet gig.
Yep, exactly.
I guess I can put up with it for 9 months.
So I tried another year.
Yeah.
And, back then we got 1-year contracts for the first couple of years, and then, they offered me a 2-year contract after 3 straight years. So
would you say your second year you probably started to enjoy it?
Yeah, I started to figure out how to, not, stretch yourself so far out. I mean, you have to.
Let me tell you about my first day of teaching in 1985. I had a globe that I brought in from my apartment. And for some reason, I decided to bring it home again that night. I don't know why, but I did. And I walk out, and this is where all the kids are around. First day, I mean, I can barely remember anything from that day, but I do remember this. I was getting into my car, and my hands were full. And so I put my globe on top of my car.
Forgot it.
I forgot it was on there.
Yeah.
And I back out, and it kind of hung on the car for about 40 yards, and then it rolled off my car and rolled down, and all the students were laughing at me. I almost didn't come back the next day.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
So at some point, you flipped the switch from, wow, I don't think I can do this, to, wow, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is kind of enjoyable. So that happened that second year.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Well, Mr. Ellinwood, when I first started teaching, and you and I are contemporaries, the person in our department, and I wasn't teaching at the same school Kevin was at this point, but the person in our department who had a VCR, he was like, I don't know, he was like a drug dealer.
Oh, I know, yeah. He had the greatest thing going.
You had to bribe him to get to use that thing. So, like a VCR was big time. I remember I fought like crazy to get an overhead projector.
We had the 8 millimeters. It had those that you had to wind up on the reels and stuff and do that. And then you had, of course, the film strip projector. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. I used to write things on the chalkboard. That gives me cold chills. My handwriting was terrible. I don't know how anybody did it, man.
And then you had the Ditto machine.
Oh, baby.
You had to crank it.
Smell that thing. Smell all that stuff, that purple writing.
Most definitely ruined many of pants.
Well, you know, it had to be pretty cancerous too.
I'm sure it was.
I mean, smelling that stuff.
Oh,
that could get you high.
Yeah. That's why kids were always sniffing.
The things, man, and the things that have changed. So you're thinking about instructional standpoint. I'm just throwing out some nostalgia there, but what's changed in your career? I mean, obviously a lot.
Well, you know, you stop and you think about the last 5 to 10 years, all the enormous amounts of testing that we have to do with these kids, and you can see it on their face too. I mean, they just by Thursday of test week, they're just like, "What are we doing this for?"
Yeah.
So it's really a question. You know, are they better off today than what they were 25 years ago? Just you know the way we taught then, and I kind of question that at times whether they are better off.
I will say this: that the biggest change for me has been the way lessons are delivered. Because you and I, we used to just stand up there and talk.
Oh yeah, lecture. Yeah. I
mean, you know, when you think about it, that would no more fly today.
Oh, I know.
Then I don't know. So I mean, the way lessons are delivered is I think far superior, and we are a lot more tuned in to trying to individualize learning. I think
definitely.
I think that's a big change. And you know, man, for crying out loud, with the internet, all that stuff that we used to know that they didn't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty accessible.
Now, I didn't get this out of the book last night. So where'd you get it at?
Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. Now, here's the thing that I think, and you probably get this question too. You know, we have people about our age, and they always ask us, how in the heck have you taught that long? How can you put up with kids today? Do you hear that question?
Yeah, every now and then, yeah.
So are the kids any different?
To me, kids are kids. I mean, you know, I've told you that before. I don't, you know, are they more impatient? Probably.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, they definitely want, you know, answers now. They want instant feedback from you. But, you know, every single day, you have that one kid in class that you know you're not getting to. He's looking at you, but nothing's registering. I had that back 34 years ago.
So you don't really notice a change?
No.
I don't either.
I don't either. No.
I mean, my interactions with students today seem pretty similar to what they were when I first started.
Exactly.
You kind of have the same personalities in class. Yep. Like you said, you have the reluctant kids, the angry kids.
You got the kid that's, you know, just so, hey, I want it in detail. You got to lay it right out for him.
But you know, I don't really notice a difference, man.
Yeah. Nope.
I'm really glad to hear you say that. Yeah. Because I get that question from friends sometime, and they're like, "How do you put up with these kids these days?" It's like, well, they're just kids, as you said. Yeah. I mean, I don't really notice much change.
I look back to even.
I agree with you. They have the attention span of a butterfly.
Yeah, but to me too, that's the way I was as a kid too, as a student too. I mean, you walk in, unless you're really amusing me, I was daydreaming somewhere else.
Well, you know what? I think a lot of teachers have a pretty short attention span too. Right?
Yeah, most definitely.
I know when we're in teachers meetings,
teachers are the worst students.
We're all looking at our phones.
Yeah, we're the worst students. Huh? There's no doubt.
You know what's funny is when we start talking about the changes over our career, and we start thinking about some of the things that used to be like cast in stone, is you are not allowed to do this, and then the kids just kind of wore everybody out. Do you remember? Well, of course you remember. 10 years ago, I mean, if a kid took out their phone and looked at it in class,
we were just all...
It was a big deal.
Yeah. Give me that phone right now.
Yeah. And so they got really subtle at looking at their phones, and now, you know, it's hard to get them not to look at their phones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess one lesson is when you see these big societal trends happening, schools would probably be wise just to go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
I mean, the girls won the yoga pants war.
Oh yeah. We fought for that one, didn't we? Yeah.
As I like to say, we got buried in an avalanche of spandex.
That is true.
You're somebody, I see you in the hall. You're talking to kids. I mean, Kevin, these kids are 40 years younger than us, and we're still having to interact with them because you can't do this job unless you're making a connection. How do you maintain that bond over that career?
Well, I just think that it's important, number one, that, you know, you have to take each kid and you got to kind of figure out what their likes and dislikes are. And you can learn that in a classroom, but you can also learn that more so probably in the hallway or, you know, even by like tonight I plan on probably attending the track meet up in Marion with the kids are going to be there, and just to sit or stand and talk with them just while they're doing events and stuff, or even in the lunchroom.
I was getting ready to bring that up.
Yeah, we do lunch duty, so that when you can get to know a lot of things about kids, and from the past that it's it's
want to make sure I'm still recording there.
A lot of times these kids are. I mean, we lose track of each individual, and we just kind of pay attention. All right, the kids that we think are paying attention, but you got to learn to get along with each and every one of them. You don't know what's happened that morning for a kid.
Right.
You don't know what they have to go home to at night, but you can at least while they're here try to make a good situation out of it.
And you can take those problem kids that are obnoxious, that are mean, that you disagree with on things, that dress bizarre, whatever.
Exactly.
You can take those kids as a challenge, developing a relationship with them, and it can be one of the more rewarding professional experiences of your life.
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, you meet exactly those kids that, a lot of
that
times
kid that comes in the first day, and you're thinking, oh, brother.
No, here we go. And then you've heard every story about him. But then, if you really just, when it all comes down to it, if you take the time to get to know that, and that kid will respect you, and that kid will, they'll become a good friend.
I learned this lesson in 1985. I was sitting there, and just a young teacher, just totally green. And I had my class roster at the original teachers meeting.
Oh, yeah.
And some old fart teacher starts making checks on it. He goes, hey, you're going to have to watch for this one.
Oh, I know.
This one's a handful. And, I look back at that and I think, what an obnoxious thing for that person to do, because they were poisoning the well.
Just because they had problems.
And I ended up getting along with those kids fine, man.
Yeah. One of the best situations that ever happened was I had a kid one day that just, he called me every name under the sun. Just went off. He was a ninth grader, too.
Yeah.
Just called me everything. And so I confronted him, and, that was just... So 2 years later, I had him in as a junior. Yeah. And one of the greatest, I remember his name to this day, Marshall Hackworth.
Oh, Marshall Hackworth. I remember Marshall Hackworth.
One of the greatest relationships I've had. Me and that kid eventually got along, and, who's to say... these kids each and every day.
I'll tell you what, man. Over the years, I've found that working with young people has been great for my ego, because, ego in the sense of controlling my ego, because you expect certain things out of people, and they don't process the world like you do, and it makes you a lot less egocentric. At least that's happened for me. Yeah. So, Kevin, you and I, we talk a lot about these issues, and I want to ask you this because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. What do you value most about teaching, and what scares you about retirement?
The thing I've just have absolutely loved over the years has just been that relationship that you get with just the people that you're around on a day-to-day. I've been so fortunate here at Big Walnut. I came here from Marion, and I thought if I were going to teach, I'd probably go back home. And I know that you have asked me that a number of times. Have you ever thought about going back to Marion and stuff? And even though that thought did enter my mind, the people that I've worked here with, including you, but Roger Roberts, Gleason Camp, Renzi, Workman, all those guys, they've made it so wonderful of an environment to teach in, first of all, as well as the community itself. And then just the kids. Like you said, that's what it basically comes down to. And those relationships, they keep me young.
I'm telling you, I'm so glad you said that, because I am just terrified of losing that social interaction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Terrified of that.
Yeah. I'm not a big Twitter guy. I'm not a big Facebook guy. I'd rather just sit and do what we're doing right here, just talk with you.
Well, what Kevin was talking about right there is funny, because we all have a reputation in our department of being people who enjoy the kids, which we do. And then we had this lunch that was like a fraternity house. This was about 10 years ago. And we'd go in there, and our rule was that no one was allowed to talk about education. We just talked about stupid stuff for 30 minutes, and it really revitalized us for the rest of the day. But, everybody's so darn busy in education. We don't do that much.
I know. We don't have much of that
interaction. That's a problem. That's one thing that's gone wrong, I think, is administrators, you need to carve out time for teachers just to hang out and not talk about some silly agenda that you have.
Some test or some...
Just let them talk, man.
The FDR program that we've heard all the years, all the acronyms.
Yes, FDR program. I got you. I was like, what? So what's next then? How long are you going to keep doing it?
Well, my teaching license runs out next year, so I don't really have any plans of having that renewed. So I've kind of always set that as my benchmark, as my year.
Wow.
So next year will be
the
final year, probably in the classroom here at Big Walnut. Yeah, it's going so fast. Friend of mine runs a charter school in Marion, and so I'll probably end up maybe helping him out a little bit, get kids prepared for their American history test, I think is what he wants me to do. Just tutoring. Yeah. But that's only a couple hours a day. So,
no lesson plans.
No lesson plans.
Yeah.
That's nice. You don't have to worry about doing the OTEs or
no grading.
No grading, none of that. So
yeah.
And then I like woodworking. Always have. My dad was always really good at that, and I've always kind of picked that up from him. So I'll have to find something. I'll be bored to death.
And you're a young man.
Yeah, I'll be 57 next year. So
yeah.
So yeah.
You're a young dude, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, these are very. I mean, that's young. I mean, you got a lot of productive years left.
Yep.
So.
And I might end up being a real estate guy. Who knows? Coach Comstock, he keeps pushing me, so I don't know.
That'd be a lot like teaching.
Yeah. A lot of meetings, I'm sure it would be.
Well, trying to educate people.
Yeah.
Well, give one piece of advice to just a person starting out. I mean, I think of myself at 24. I mean, I was like a deer in the headlights, man.
I was too, but we'll go back to what we, going home stressed out every day and having headaches and all that. You just can't
do it all.
You can't do it all.
Yeah.
It's just impossible, especially those first couple of years. I know you want to set the world on fire. And you want every kid to have that same enthusiasm that you have, but they just don't.
Yeah.
And the sooner you realize that, and then you're less likely to take it home with you every day, which is what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And you just have to learn to, let go of it.
And I'll say this, when you're really young like we were starting out, I mean, there's just not a whole heck of a lot of difference between you and the seniors.
Exactly, yeah.
They're kind of like
you're not fooling them.
You're kind of like their little siblings.
Yeah.
So, unless you play football for Ohio State, your chance of intimidating them is probably pretty low.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So just be cool and be consistent, man.
I remember one day yelling, like one of the first times I ever yelled at the kids in class, and they kind of looked at me just like you are right now, like, seriously? You're yelling at us?
He's getting all pink.
And, of course, I was only like 4 years older than them, just like you said.
Yeah. So understand, it does get easier, it does get better. Mm-hmm. And if you're a rookie teacher, wait till next year. I think you'll really like the job.
Yeah. You just got to stick with it. Yeah.
Well, all right, my friend. I'm sad to hear that you're going to hang it up next year.
It's been a good ride, but
it's good. Yeah, it's time. When it's time, it's time. I don't know what's going to happen for me. I might be here a lot longer.
A lot longer.
I just can't quit. I love it too much still.
I think I'll still stick around kids. That's what keep me going. So that tutoring job for a couple hours a day would suffice.
Thanks so much, my friend.
No problem, my man.
So here we are at the What You Can Do Tomorrow section, and this episode's different, man. I'm just going to give you a very simple directive. Cultivate relationships with colleagues like Kevin and I did, and it'll help get you through. It'll help motivate you. It'll help you enjoy the job. I won't be back next week, but I will be back. I promise, man. Soon, very soon, and good luck tomorrow engaging your kids.
Show notes for this episode can be found at jamesallensturnevant.com. If you enjoy Hacking Engagement, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes.